Afternoon, folks. Welcome back to the Leeds View for the post-match of another defeat for Leeds United, 3-1 away at Nottingham Forest. Forest's first win of the season since their opening day win. And I don't know how everyone else feels about it, but the beginning of the game and the end of the game felt very, very different. Leeds started relatively well. Decent first half in some ways, although conceding the goal the way we conceded it again. 3 players in the box, players not marking, ball watching again, more ball watching, which is a real problem. The amount of goals Leeds are conceding, 3 more conceded again. Something's got to change. We've got to stop conceding goals. Same system, pretty much same personnel. Out of Anton Stack coming in for Tanaka and Lucas Metch been a like-for-like change for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. We started so well, and then we saw the second half, the exact same start to a second half that we've seen from Leeds in pretty much every single away game this season. We just didn't come out in the second half, sat back and invited pressure, and it was coming. The goal was coming. There was opportunities in the second half for Leeds to make some changes, to maybe try and push on. Neco Williams was starting to leave gaps in behind him, of which Lucas Metch at the time was starting to get a little bit of joy going in around the back of him. But outside of that, we waited too long probably to make changes. They made theirs first. Their changes had an impact on the game. Murray Hutchinson with the cross and Gibbs White getting a free header, and then the penalty at the end, one of our changes going against us. But it's similar situation, similar issues. They're just the same issues that keep coming up, and we can talk till the cows come home about who's good enough, who's not good enough. If the players aren't good enough, stop picking the players. If the system isn't working, change the system. It's not the manager's fault that nobody picks up Sangara, whether it's Longstaff or Ampadu. Longstaff's in no man's land. Ampadu apparently doesn't track the runner. Whoever, haven't had a proper chance to look back at it. But from what I've seen, leaves a free men in the box and they get a free shot in the penalty spot to score. Again, we've seen it before already this season. So if the players aren't good enough and the system isn't working, the manager's got to change the personnel and he's got to change the shape. But they're not changing enough personnel, which means the bench isn't good enough. No Willie Nanto in the squad again today, which there'll be question marks asked around that. But yeah, tough day at the office. It means that now Leeds have picked up 3 points in the last 4 games, and they'll go into a hell of a run in November and December and find it very hard to pick up points. We're at the 1 point per game average. We're not in the relegation zone. We're probably exactly where we should be at this point of the season. But it's tough. You're not allowed to criticize the manager in any way. I think there is criticism for the manager. Again, I don't always think you should run straight to sacking somebody, but Daniel Farke's got to start changing things. The players have got a huge amount of responsibility to start just doing the basics better. And if they're not doing the basics better, get them out of the team. Get them out of the team. Change that. I don't care if you're a captain. If you're not tracking runners, come out of the team. Got to start looking at things differently. We're back to talking about maybe a 3-5-2, but we've conceded a huge amount of goals. You can see the momentum graph down below. There's the player ratings there and the statistics for the game down below. That score is completely wrong as well. I'll change that. Sorry, my bad. I downloaded the wrong one. I'll just change that real quick. Let me get that sorted. The background is not the right background. Apologies for that. Head up my arse right now, but give me 2 seconds. I'll get that changed for you so that we can actually crack on and get to the styles, backgrounds, media. Sorry about this, folks. My bad. Didn't get the background changed in time. Thought I had changed it. I didn't. There we go. So there you go. There's the actual statistics and the actual scoreline. There you go on the momentum graph for the second half of the game. Sorry about that. My fault. Didn't change that one. Downloaded it, but forgot to change it. But yeah, there were some positives in the first half, as there has been in every game this season. There has been some positive to take out the first half. Second half just has been the second half in every single game. And that's where maybe the changes need to happen. As soon as Leeds make the substitutions, all of a sudden it looks more positive, and then we get caught with maybe a bit of a system change, maybe putting Jack Harrison as a left back. He's not a left back, but we took Gabby Goodmunson and brought him on. Thought Gabby was doing okay on the left-hand side, and then we make that change, and Jackie gives away a penalty. But first 10 minutes, thought the game was 50-50. Thought Leeds had as much of the ball as they had. We're doing okay. The 11th minute, Lucas Perry makes an insane double save. A shot taken from the edge of the box. Takes a deflection. He makes a wonderful save, and he reacts quick enough to make the second one and push the ball away. Flag goes up, but he didn't know the flag was up at that point. And then the 12th minute, we score. And it's a really positive start for Leeds. We've handled the pressure that they put on initially. We've kept the ball well. We've moved it around well enough. Probably not committing enough bodies forward as early as we can. Still being a bit overly pragmatic. But we do in this instant. Longstaff wins a header. Noah Okafor takes the ball, goes infield. And then he just overhits it a little bit, slides the ball, and he gets a touch through to Brendan Aronson. Good ball from him into the feet of Lucas Metch, who was manhandled for most of the first half. Referee wasn't great for most of that game, but great shot from Lucas Metcha, finds the back of the net, 1-0. Great. Now hang on to this for a little bit, take the sting out of what Forest will come at you with. And then straight away, 2 minutes later, 15 minutes, equalised. So 2 minutes we had the lead for. And it's a poor goal to concede. Again, there's issues. People can say there's mistakes on goals. There's a mistake in every single goal, but we still talk about it. And it's Sangara that scores the goal, the sitting deep-lying central midfielder who's the man who finds himself in acres of space in Leeds penalty areas. We did in the breakdown 2 weeks ago about the amount of space being given to players in the penalty area. He's not dealt with. Yeah, it comes from a cross on the right-hand side. It's smashed across. Lucas Perry makes a decent save, palms the ball out, and at that point, you're looking for your defenders and your midfielders to do their job. Leeds defenders get onto the line to try and cover the goal. You're looking for the midfielders to track the midfielders. Sangara is a midfielder and managed to find himself in space. Sean Longstaff is probably the nearest midfielder to him, and he's in no man's land, not reacting. Leeds surprised to find a free man. And again, ball watching. Again, even the commentary team even said that Leeds have been victims of guilty of ball watching again in this game. And Gibbs White goal again is ball watching from Beal in that situation. He gets drawn to the ball, doesn't watch Gibbs White go off his shoulder. Either Joe Rodan and him should be talking to each other more, probably. And he gets a free header. But yeah, 1-1 at that point. And then it's Forest. You can see it in the momentum graph. Leeds get a little bit of the ball, try and get it. It gets sloppy for that middle ground there, and then Forest take over. But Leeds controlled it. Leeds were okay with it. And probably Leeds needed to just take the sting out of the game a little bit. I thought they did for that. And you go into half-time then thinking, just get the half-time, calm it down. We've taken the sting out of what they've brought. But for once this season, start the second half quickly, please. Just get out at them at the start of the second half. If you go through the positive, the first half, funnily enough, outside of the mistake for the goal, or they're not tracking the player for the goal, or not marking the player for the goal, I thought defensively the shape was actually pretty decent. I thought we dealt with their long balls forward. I thought we picked up second balls quite well. We were comfortable in possession. A lot of our possession, we had 49% in the first half, the bulk of it was in our own half. Then Farker will likely talk about possession again, but it was all in our own half. Hold the play from Lucas Metcha when he wasn't being dragged out of and manhandled by the centre-backs was decent. Brendan Aronson was winning a lot of balls, didn't have a huge amount of players running off him. I think in general when Leeds did win the ball in the first half and looked to break forward, whether it was Noah Okafor on the left, Brendan Aronson on the right, even Jayden Bogle at times, we didn't have any players in the midfield trying to run forward and back them up. And again, that was pointed out at halftime in the commentary as well, that just not committing enough bodies forward to help them. And invariably then you lose the ball pretty much straight away. But we won it back. And the battle was there in the first half, and I wanted to see that. Farker before the game talked about more physicality in the side. I thought we got that to a large degree in the first half. The negatives in the first half were the goal, having free players in the penalty area. When is that going to stop? When are we going to deal with the basics of football, of tracking your midfielders, tracking players, and making sure you're not all looking at the ball? Again, I go back to last week. I said my 9-year-old nephew is being taught about not ball watching. These are professional footballers. And again, the manager can't track a player. That's up to the players to do their jobs. And then they're switching off. They're watching the ball, whether they're being, I don't know, overwhelmed by it. Somebody said on my watch along that that's the whole point of bringing a Sean Longstaff in there, experienced Premier League player, calming influence in there, not marking anybody in the penalty area. Again, not saying it's Longstaff's fault. I need to look back at it to see who let Sangara run, but he's a central defensive midfielder. It's not a strike, not a centre-back's option. They go where they need to go. And that's an easy one. Players not getting forward enough to support us in the first half, and we did break in. Yeah, but again, as I said, we had one shot in the first half, and we scored from it. They had 10 in the first half. And again, bear in mind where they are. Yes, they've got a new manager, but they changed their manager. And they got an upturn in their fortunes. We can't change our manager because nobody wants the job, apparently. And it won't make a difference. We have to settle on the fact that we are going back down towards the championship. But I don't. I never settle on that. Whereas only 11 games in, there's an awful lot we can do still this season. The basics has to be the players on the pitch have got to start taking responsibility for their jobs and start doing a little bit more. But you start the second half, and in 48 minutes, a chance. Jayden Bogle blocks a Nottingham Forest chance. The ball comes down off Rodon. They get to the end line, they cut it back, and Bogle just does enough to put Igor Jesus off a little bit, takes a deflection off Bogle's leg and goes out play for a corner kick. Gabby Goodmunson has a long run down the left-hand side in the 55th minute. And this was an example of us not getting up and supporting players. Whatever anyone says about lazy comments about supporting players, Gabby Goodmunson makes a run down the left-hand side, and only Okafor makes the run forward with him as well as Lucas Metcha. Outside of that, there's no other Leeds player moving forward. Does as much as he can. Pullback's probably the wrong choice. Needs to look for better options probably, but they're not necessarily there. But a good run from Gabby Goodmunson gets Leeds out of their back line, takes a bit of pressure off. 67 minutes. Nottingham Forest scored. There's a big diagonal ball across the park. Good ball. Hutchison picks the ball up. runs at Gudmundsson, gets the cross in, and Gibbs White drifts away from Jakobiel, gets between the two centre halves. Perfect. If you're an attacking player, that's the dream spot between the two centre halves. Gets a little flick on the ball, goes into the bottom corner. Players ball watching again. But we invited a lot of pressure on up until the 65th minute, 67th minute when that goal came. It was coming. There was more and more pressure being put on Leeds. We were getting pushed further and further back. We weren't getting out. And they'd made their substitutions and they made an impact. Hutchinson made a huge impact on that side when he did come on. Leeds waited until after they'd made their change before we made ours. We were saying at that point, there was gaps in behind Neco Williams at that point that Lucas Mecha was starting to run into. And I kind of was screaming out for Dan James to come on around 60 minutes and make those runs into that space and try and create something. But didn't happen. Space in behind. We didn't do it. 78-minute Leeds a big chance. Dan James is on the pitch at this stage. Comes in on his left foot. Has a shot. Blocked. Goes out to the left. The keeper makes a good save, actually. Sorry, palms it to the right. Gabby Gudmundsson smashes it across the goal. And Jayden Bogan should score. He's right in front of the goal. He gets too much on it and puts it wide. And the ball goes out of play. Then there's another chance after that. Leeds are starting to get forward a bit more. The changes for Leeds did make a difference. It did give us more chances to go forward. We were pushing on more, but wasn't to happen. 82 minutes is a corner. Chance for Leeds. Stack puts the corner. DCL gets ahead of him. Standing position, heads it just wide. 87th minute comes the penalty. Jack Harrison comes on for Gabby Gudmundsson at left back. Strange change to put him there, but maybe Leeds were going for three at the back at that point. Stroke was on at this point as well. But Hutchinson gets beyond them, runs into the penalty area. Harrison clips his heels. Down he goes. Penalty. 88-minute. Ball's back to the net. Goal for them. Elliot Anderson with their goal. I thought Elliot Anderson was probably one of the best players in the park today. I thought he was excellent. Gibbs White didn't have a huge amount to do in the game, but he's busy when he's on the ball and he keeps the ball when he gets it. Same with Anderson. Very tidy in possession. Moves the ball well. Very dangerous for them. Didn't do enough of closing him down. And yeah, Forest first wins the opening day of the season. Leeds had a chance in the 93rd minute. And again, they should probably score from this. It's a Okafor cross and the DCL goes for a header and misses the header completely. Hits his shoulder and goes at the goalkeeper. And needs to do better in those positions again. But we did create some chances today. I think if you look at it, big chances, or expected goals, XG wise, 2.4 for Nottingham Forest, 0.6 for Leeds. Big chances, none for Leeds. But 10 shots in total for Leeds, 14 for them. 2 saves by their keeper, 3 by ours. Corner kick wise, 6 and 4. Look at the shots for the game. 10 shots by Leeds, 3 on target. They had 14 shots, 6 on target. I think touches in the box, they were like 18 to 10 or something like that as well. Something like that. So overall, just in general, just not good enough in the second half. I think we were good for parts of the first half and good for small amounts of the second half as well. But in general, we just invite too much pressure. We really do. We just let them come at us. We let them put balls into our penalty area. We let them cross too easily. It's been a problem all season. That's a player issue. That is a player issue. The players are not getting out the players. They're not marking tight enough. System is an issue as well. The 4-3-3 is a problem for Leeds. It's the 30th of August since we've kept a clean sheet. And at some point, there's got to be a look at what we're doing. We've talked about going to 3 at the back. Not a huge fan of changing systems mid-season, but when you're conceding as many goals as Leeds are conceding right now, we conceded 3 against Forest, 3 against Brighton, 1 against West Ham, 2 against Burnley, 2 against Spurs, 2 against Bournemouth, 1 against Wolves, 1 against Fulham. Clean sheet before that. It's been a long time since we had a clean sheet. That's the basis for you staying in the division, is keeping clean sheets. But it's now a case of Burnley being 1 point behind us. West Ham, who are in the relegation zone, 1 point behind us. That win for Forest gets them close to us. They know now that they can get a win after the international break. And if we don't beat Aston Villa, who very much have formed today, then they could be out of relegation zone after the international break very early on. We've got a lot of games coming up that we'll have to worry about. We'll get to some of your comments now in the chat. I just wanted to kind of just leave the comments to the side just to get the initial bit out of the way so we can get the initial overview done. Helps with the audio as well. We'll jump into the comments to see what people are thinking now. Carvalho says, up, Jer. Unfortunately, we are not a very good side. Could a different manager get a different tune out of this team? You've got to do something differently. You've got to change something. You can't accept this fate. You can't just say after 11 games, that's it, we're down. We're not in the relegation zone. You know? We're not in the relegation zone. I'm worried that we could get cut adrift by January now. There are some big games coming up. There's no reason why we can't get points out of those games. We did get points against Newcastle. You've got to look at those 4 games and try and get some points now, specifically in the home games. Martin said, just can't see Daniel Farke's formula or what he wants to do. Not good enough, says Rob. William is saying, personally, I think you lose to a team managed by Deitch, then you have to go. Lottie Leo leads. Time for Farke to go. has had his chance. He hasn't worked out bringing Jack Harrison on. What are you thinking? Arya says, conceded results coming. The central pitch doing nothing. They drop off and collect the ball off the centre backs and make 5 yards. We are playing with 3 central defensive midfielders more often than not. Forest aren't all that. We were pants. And again, say it, Bev was there first. This is what you'll be told. Established side. We're a newly promoted side. They've got a good manager now. They've got good players. Not expected to get a result on the road. That's what will be said. But you've got to hope to do something different. You can't just, as I keep saying, you can't just roll over and get your belly tickled every single week. 1 win for Leeds now, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 win in 6 for Leeds. 1 draw in there as well. It's not ideal. Hope you're right. I don't know. I don't know if I am. Look at momentum graph. Their subs changed the game. And that goal was coming. Why does Farke always sit on his hands until it's too late? Dirty Leeds, why can't we change the squad? The only thing that we can't change the squad. The only thing we can change is to roll the dice and the manager. If don't, we are returning to the championship. Rinse and repeat. Farke out, confidence gone. Start of the season, I think that we all wanted to look competitive. Sadly, we're not making up the numbers right now. I think in the first couple of games, we go back to it, we did look competitive. We were physical, we were aggressive, we were marking players. We made it difficult for sides to play. Since then, it's gotten easier and easier. There's so much space in the park against Leeds to get touches, to run at us, to run into space. And again, that's a player issue as well. Make this clear. The players that are playing for Leeds are far beyond being blameless in this situation. There is a huge amount of blame that goes at their doorstep. Tracking a runner is a player's decision. Tackling a player is a player's decision. Running forward is a player's decision. Trying to give the player on the ball an option to receive is a player's decision. They've got to look at that. And for me, there's not enough of that happening. There's too many players hiding, and it does feel like we're making numbers. 15 minutes too late again with the subs. Club brought so poorly and looked lost all over the pitch. Farke is just not proactive enough. Again, as I've said all season, you've got to be able to say it. There is culpability across the board. We bought, and Daniel Farke said this week, that he believed the players we brought in with a character to stay in this league. So he's backed this squad and he's involved in that. He's picked these players as well. We got the defenders and we got the midfielders that he wanted. Not all the first choice, but you're a newly promoted side. You're not going to, but do it the best you can. He's happy with the players he got in there. We missed out on 1, maybe 2 attacking players. But why are we conceding so many goals? That's an issue. That's all I want to talk about. I accept the fact, and it is a valid point, that he didn't get the 1 or 2 attacking players that he wanted. And that's a very valid point, and it is true. Why are we conceding so many goals? They're goal scorers and goal creators. We're conceding too many. We were the lead today. We were in front. We got the first goal. 2 minutes later, we conceded. Farke lost the dressing room. I don't know. We need to play Tanaka, James on. Farke, Underwood out. Farke doesn't know how to change things even after half time. Sorry, but taxi for Farke, and we won't get anything from our next 4 and could be gone by January. Sack him now and bring in somebody else. Why not bring James Justin in for right back? Why bring a winger on a fullback? That's a good point as well. I think there might have been a choice of going to a 3-5-2 at that point. That's maybe what they were trying to do, but it didn't work. Farke is simply too stubborn. People will blame the 49ers, but Farke got the defenders and the midfielders that he wanted. Why have the 49ers decided that Farke cannot be sacked? I think there's still a very large portion of the fan base that don't believe Daniel Farke should be sacked either. But I think I said this week, if the players are not working and the system is not working and you're not changing it, then you've got to look there. But the players have got a massive amount of responsibility in this. But then the manager's got to drop the players. Is Ethan Ampadu undroppable? Is Sean Longstaff undroppable? Is Jaden Bogle undroppable? Is Joe Rodon undroppable? I like Joe Rodon. He's excellent. But outside, the point that I'm making is, why are we not overhauling this? There's players there to change this up. We can change the system. We can do something different. You can't just accept your fate and roll over and say, that's it, we're done, we're gone. I agree, we're not good enough. We're not good enough. And we're not good enough to play the way we're playing. So change the way you're playing. Change something. You've got to look at something. Looks like improved performance against the worst team. I like Gabby, not blaming him, but how many goals conceded from the left? Well, the first goal comes down the left, but it's a cross. I mean, that's a free player in the penalty area, Scoobs. That's not his fault. The penalty is Jack Harrison's on at that stage, and the cross is a good cross from Hutchinson. The second one's valid, but mark the player and the goal doesn't happen, But yeah, maybe as their goal was building, Longstaff was making his way into the penalty area. He could see everything. Why was he so lost? Where was Nanto? Farke always said, if you're healthy, you're going to be on the bench. Well, Dominic Calvert-Lewin was 100% and was on the bench. Billy Nanto was presumed by his midweek press conference that he was fit and available. Whereas Willie says, Kev, yeah, I hate knee-jerk reactions, but now is the time to get rid of Farke international break. So get it done. There has to be somebody else lined up. Coming out of the block of 4 games with 3 points, considering the teams that we've played, is worrying. We don't have the fight in us. Brendan looked like the only one willing to give it all today. Brendan Aronson worked his arse off today and was physical today. I thought Lucas Metja was decent up front as well. I thought he was probably better in a lot of parts than DCL has been. I don't blame DCL this season. I think Joe Rodan was steady. I thought Jacobiol had a very good game, but he loses his man for the goal. He can't do that. So again, it's okay being good for 88 minutes or 78 minutes, but if you switch off for that one moment, there's that. Lost faith in Danny Boy. He's out of his depth like Jesse Marsh was. Free Willy, I was waiting on that one actually, to be fair. What's happening to this snappy pressing midfield that played against Everton? Out. Players are playing scared later in the games. Amps needs to be pushing them all out instead of dropping too deep. Farke did lose every touchline battle. Also, we need strength on the line. Pressing and energy is the easiest part of football. It's an individual effort. Without that, then you rely on skill, something we didn't. 100%, Simon. We didn't get skill. And if you can't outclass the team, you've got to outwork them, outbattle them, and outfight them. And I don't think we're being ugly enough to play against at times. I think we need to be a lot uglier. Sean Dyche has taken over that side and made them tougher to play against, you know? Not that I want Sean Dyche, but you know what I mean. The worry is I have no confidence the club to unearth any talent in January. Farke has to go ASAP. When has Farke ever changed the system and players early in a game when it's not working? Other managers do. But I saw Sunderland and Burnley change the system 2 or 3 times in their last couple of matches. We're losing in our mini league, so God help us when we have to go up against the bigger boys. I'm fearful of scorelines like in our last Premier League season. Pascal needs to play. Defence has been worse without him. I don't necessarily agree with that. We've conceded pretty much the exact same amount of goals. Biel's come in for the last 3. We've conceded 1, 4, 6, 7. Before that was Pascal 2, 6, 7 v 7. I think maybe there's a question mark around the 3 at the back there because in general we're conceding too many goals in there. But we also have to look at the midfield. How many of the goals that we're conceding are coming from midfielders from the opposition side running into our penalty area unmarked? It was Gomez last week. It's Sangara this week. Gibbs White this week. Players that are not being marked by centre halves. Got to start looking at the midfielders doing their job as well, but it's still a valid point. Do we go to 3 at the back now at this stage? Do we stop? Just try and get a couple of 0-0s and pick up points? Because if you play like this against the better sides, we're going to get destroyed. Farke needs the best players for ball watching, the beastest players for ball watching in the box. Farke okay or Farke out? Just joined. I've always been a supporter of his, but I'm starting to wonder. I think the point, Joshua, we're talking about here, we've got to do something different. Why we look so tired so quickly? Yeah. Why is Harrison always the first sub? Sorry, not. We're not going to get anything the next 8 games. Not even competing. Not even close to changing players or going down. So because that's bad. 3 subs for Forest. 3 subs of Forest changed the game, and once again, Farke didn't do anything. He just waited, and then Harrison at left back when James Justin can play there. Get him sacked. Back to basics. 4-4-2 long ball. I think we need 3 defenders. I think we need 20 defenders. Plenty of happy clappers don't want to say hurty words because it makes them sad. Farke isn't good enough to keep us in this league. Farke is way out of his depth. How long can we give him? If this team isn't good enough, then we're already saying now that we're going back to the championship. So then the narrative becomes, will you keep Farke next year and you come back up? I don't know. What's the point of a squad when you only play the same 12 players? Yeah, it's a valid point. Stop playing out from the back. I agree with that. I did it in the breakdown on Saturday. Stop playing out from the back. Midfielders following their man into the box is basics. It is basics. I think a lot of the fan base would have probably changed their mind on Farke over the last 2 weeks. The performances have been so limp. We are so divided. There's a lot of people have doubled down on the Farke situation. Some people would rather be, I don't know. I just think there's player responsibility as well. And I will say this, if you want to criticize the manager, go for it. Because he should be criticized for some decision-making, in-game management, systems. That's where his blame is. But we've got to criticize the players as well. Both of them. Both of them have to be criticized. For me, too soft. I agree with that completely. Embarrassing. Why didn't you put Justin on? Harrison was a ridiculous decision. Let's not repeat the Jesse situation and leave it too late. It's clear as day that Farke was playing for a draw. Good months in run. No one keeping up with him. Screamed for Farke. Play a screen. Farke play for draw. I backed Farke, but his time is up. Gareth Southgate lives in Harrogate. Plays the same kind of football. Farke is a one-trick pony. All managers know what his system. I think we all know what the system's going to be. There's a bit of predictability to that, but yeah, outside of the changes that had to be made, DCL coming in, stack for Tanaka. Outside of that, it's the same every week. When your worst player becomes your best player, Aronson. But that, well, do you know what? I say this with Brendan Aronson. He's trying. He is trying. And there's an awful lot of the rest of the players are walking around the pitch, and they need to do better. Reminds me of Norwich. I like the look of Pirro in as a second striker. As a second striker, it's exactly where Pirro. If you go 3-5-2, you play Pirro every week with one of the big men. You got sacrifices to make out wide then. But recruitment was poor. I believe Pep could keep us up. There's a reason Pep doesn't manage teams outside of the big boys. Because he can't. I don't think manager will be here after international break. I think he will be. Too much sideways and backwards passing. No rush to get the ball forward. Farke out, but whoever we get in won't do anything with these players. I think you can change the system. I think you can put a rock up their arse. I think you can drop some players. While Farke gone, 3 DMs and concede to 6. Yeah, that's a foul point. Tight chin. Where has the gritty Leeds gone? Villa sacked Gerrard after 11 games. Last game of 3-0 defeat. Look at where they are now. Look where they finished the season as well. I want you to get away from me. Get away from me, Glyn, because I know you're not being serious. I know you're not. Dreadful choice. 49ers have some big questions to be asked. 20 goals conceded now. We can't keep conceding 3 goals a match. Last clean sheet was August 30th against Newcastle. Villa next, and they are playing well. Our midfield three looked very slow around the park today. 49ers won't sack anyone until I don't think they'll sack him full stop. I really don't want Gerrard. No, I don't think he was being serious. I'm hoping you weren't serious, Clint. There's other managers out there. Of course there's managers out there. Of course there is. Playing Harrison was unfortunate, unforgivable. But again, before you get to the manager conversation, players have got to start doing their jobs. Players have got to start doing their jobs. Too deep, lack of movement. Agree. Why do we insist on playing out from the back? Bye-bye, Farke. 49ers taking their eye off the ball. Too busy. What's going on? They're not because it's a different management team. But what I'll say, William, is if you want to say that, you're giving the 49ers an out by saying that they're actually too busy doing other things. They're not, because they have a completely different management team in place at Leeds than they have up there as well. So, but that's a bad thing as well, by the way. That's a bad thing as well, because they've got their own management team in Leeds. They've got their own management team in Scotland. They've got their own management team in San Francisco. If it's not working in Leeds, it's right here's the problem. Sort that out. Take Ange over this. I don't know, not with the way we're conceding goals. Jesus Christ, we peppered. If we have any ambition, why won't the 49ers make a move for Brendan? God, no. As somebody who watches a lot of Celtic, as an Irish person, as Celtic friends, Celtic fan friends, I'm telling you now, it will turn toxic incredibly quickly behind the scenes. There are better options than that, man. Trust me, there are better options. I would drop Ampadu and give the captaincy to Stroke, or Rodon play Tanaka and James and get Solomon back. I'm going to say it. Buy out Mourinho's Benfica contract. We won't do it. Doubt whether Sack and Farke will make much of a difference. Beardy old man, I'm going to ask for you to reply to my next comment. And if you do, I'll stick on the screen and have a chat about it. I mean this. Are you saying that after 11 games, there's no other option but to get relegated? And if you're saying that, that's okay. But if that's what you're saying, because right now we're not in the relegation zone. There's a January transfer window ahead. You can identify a squad made changes. But if you're saying that, let me know what you mean by that, because that's a top line comment and it's fine and so on. I have no problem with that. This squad needs to do an awful lot more. A hell of a lot more. They've got to start fighting a lot more. The bite and the battle from these players, hasn't been there. But come back to me on this, please, if you don't mind. Colour drift in January. Farke doesn't know how to change. It seems time and time again. Jacobiel was a liability. I thought he was very good in the first half, but he switched off for the goal. Not good enough. Can't do that. But then we can say the exact same thing about Ethan Ampadu for the last 2 games. Possibly even one of the goals here. I don't know. I haven't seen the second goal back again. Jacobiel liability. Yeah, okay. Farke won't change anything until they sack him. Reactionary tactics. No Justin. And playing a non-league player in Harrison. We are awfully run club. Cheap ownership. Crap recruitment team. Hopeless manager. EPL level. It's true. Get wide. There's a line. Pull it back. Well, that happened last time in the Premier League as well. No, Jesse. Get to the end line. Pull it back. Goal. The team may be good enough, Jer, but it's the tactics that are hurting us right now. I think right now it's the tactics don't suit and they're not working. So if they do suit, they're not working. The players aren't good enough. It's going to be a very busy January if we're going to stay in this league. We tried to sign a number. Sorry, trade manager 5 years ago. We'll be here. We did it a lot later. Was it January or February you made that change? Was it that late? Was amazed that Dyche made 3 proactive subs and Farke waited 15 minutes to make them. Absolute joke. When we made the changes today, there was definitely a difference. There's so many comments, guys. I'm not going to get to them all. Get your CV in. Not qualified. Cheeky word with Areola required department. There's loads of managers around the world. There is. Don't let it be said there's nobody else. There's always somebody else. A big enough bag of cash in the project, there's always somebody else. But again, the bare minimum that's required from this team right now is a player start putting in more of an effort, more of a fight, more of a battle, and that needs to happen. So it's that quality in DM. I thought Stack had a very good game today. I thought Mecha was decent up front. I thought Okafor was good again when we get the ball to him. We just don't get the ball to him often enough. Brendan worked really hard. I think we lost the game in the middle. I think we lost the game in the back line as well. I agree with some -0. The team is good enough, but they're not being played to their strengths. We're not good after international break. We're not. And then Villa are flying, absolutely flying right now. They're 4 wins in the last 5. Hell of a win today by them as well. But yeah, let's have a quick look on the online stuff just to see if Daniel Farke's comments have come out yet. It's probably a bit early. But I do want to have a little look before we wrap it up. And if they're not out, we'll wrap it up. Graham Smith's having his piece out. Nothing from Graham yet. Graham said there's some applause from the away end. Angry gestures too, decidedly mixed. See what Baron has got anything on Daniel Farke's comments after the game. Nothing yet. No comments from Daniel Farke just yet. But yeah, another afternoon of one-way traffic on the road. What do you do? And again, I mean this. I genuinely mean this. Do you roll over and just accept your fate? Or do you try and do anything? Bart is saying, Jerry, will anyone want to come to Leeds in January when we keep playing? That's the point. Between now and January, there's time. Bring on 2 goals. 100%. We can see too many goals right now. Right now, we need to stop the rot. Song about that, wasn't there? Stop the rot, can't stop the rot. Jerry, the game pivoted on 3-4 subs. It did. It actually swung back when we made our 3 subs, so there's a lot to be said about that. Yeah, just looking to see if any reply comments just to try and get the balance on that one. But yeah, that's the way it is, folks. We'll probably wrap it up there. But yeah. We're releasing Bielsa levels of stubborn. He didn't get the players he wanted. He didn't get any backing. But yeah, we spent over £100 million. Stroke for captain. Just be careful backing one individual player, lads, because it's more than one player. It really is. But there we go. Look, that's it. We'll leave it at that, folks. We'll wrap it up. We're back tomorrow morning, Monday, with the news. We'll see what the fallout of this is. If there's no news tomorrow in the international break, we've got some stuff coming up over the week as well. The Wilcom 92 lads will be joining us as well. We're also going to have a couple of other surprise live streams. There's some content out as well, and try and get some different types of content to talk about outside of what's going on right now, and at least try and give us something a bit different to focus on as Leeds fans, because it's not going to be an easy 2 weeks now. 1 win in our last 4, 1 win in 6. Something's got to change. It's got to change soon. It's got to change quickly. You can make up your own mind on what that should be. Outside of that, folks, massive thanks for joining me. Appreciate you. Slight change in format today, but I wanted to do a little bit differently. All your information is there and there. Bit of a chat, and then we'll do the comments. But yeah, we'll do this moving forward. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Try and ride the rest of the day. Go outside. Go for a walk. Tell someone you love them. Pet your dog. Do whatever you have to do to make yourself happy. I'm going for a walk. We'll see how we feel. Enjoy the rest of your day. Talk to you soon. See you later.